Hey guys, welcome to Tuesday Talks with the Green Bay Doulas. I'm Emily Jacobson. I have a special mom with me today named Maggie, and Maggie is going to tell us the story of Olivia and Oliver. So Maggie, the floor is yours.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name's Maggie, and I live in Green Bay, and I am a mother to my heavenly angel, Olivia, and to my newest addition, Oliver, who is 6 weeks old as of today. So I guess I'll start by sharing about my pregnancy journey with Olivia. Last year, I was pregnant with my daughter, which is my first child, Olivia. Sorry, getting emotional about it again. And I had a very normal pregnancy. I am not high risk for anything. I'm healthy. All of my checkups were normal. And I started going into labor on a Sunday. And I should stop. On the Friday before that Sunday, I had a normal checkup. I had good heart tones. Everything was normal, and we were really excited to meet Olivia. And I started to go into labor on Sunday. And being a first-time mom, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I was nervous. I was calling, the on-call nurse to say, hey, is this normal? Should I come in? And so Monday rolled around, and I wasn't really sure if I should be admitted yet. So I called the office again, and they're like, why don't you just come in? We'll check you out, see how far you're dilated, and then we'll see if we have to admit you. So I wasn't really thinking anything of it. And I went in to get checked, and they were listening for heart tones in the exam room, and they were having trouble finding the heart tones. And being a nurse myself and working my nursing experiences in the emergency department, I know that sometimes when you're looking for a heartbeat or you're using an ultrasound, and sometimes things can't be found, and it's not because it's not there. It's just maybe a user error. So I wasn't really that worried about it. And they brought me back into an ultrasound room. My husband was at work at the time, and they just wanted to check things out. They were just reassuring me they just want to check things out. And it was at that time that my physician came in the room and told me that Olivia no longer had a heartbeat, and I was 39 weeks and 5 days pregnant. So the next kind of the rest of really the next couple months, really that whole rest of that year and the past year for me has been kind of a blur at times, just kind of getting through all of that. My husband came from work, and the social worker came out to meet him and bring him into the room, and we told him what was going on. And I work in healthcare, and I work at the hospital I delivered at. So I was very worried about having to make my way over to the hospital and not run into anyone I knew, because I didn't want anyone to ask me what was going on. And thankfully that didn't happen. But I wasn't sure that I could actually go through with labor. And I think, to my surprise, I sometimes I'm stronger than I think I am in times of crisis, and in times of very traumatic stress. And we delivered our beautiful baby girl. She was absolutely perfect, had the most beautiful nose and big feet like me that her dad said. That was my attribute, was large feet. And beautiful hair, the most perfect little nose. And we had her baptized and shared with, we had our family and everyone present, which was really helpful to have everyone there with us. And then, we left the hospital the next day. We were able to actually use the cuddle cot for our friends and family who wanted to see her and hold her and spend time with her. My husband and I felt like she was changing so quickly. And so for us, we had seen this kind of bright pink baby when she was born. And so that was really hard for us to see her changing. So we didn't see her the second day we were at the hospital. But then we went home, and a week, then that Saturday, we shared in the celebration of her life at her funeral to kind of start our grieving process. And so there's been a lot of things that we've done in the last year to honor her memory, and working through kind of how do we cope with, coming home and not having a baby that we prepared 9 months for. We were really thankful to have my family come over and really kind of take things out of her house, and that weren't reminders for us that she wasn't there to make things just a little bit easier for us. And through that process, we, started the healing journey. And I think with grief, one thing that I've learned is that you're never really healed. And one thing that I hate that people said to me all the time was like, time is going to make everything better. It's going to heal everything. It's like, you're always going to have a piece of your heart that's missing, and that's okay. And we don't expect people to just forget about that important part of their life. So.
Absolutely. And I see her big feet on your shirt.
Yeah.
I love that.
These are actually very close to, they took her handprints and her footprints and when she was born. And so I put the footprint next to it, and I'm like, it's so close to the actual size of what her feet were. So, and, her brother has the same long hands, big feet, or long fingers, I should say. So a lot over the last year, because this May 19th was her first birthday. We've just worked on trying to, walk through the journey with grief, which is up and down and all over and zigzag. And, some days you're okay, and the next minute you can hardly breathe and you're hiding in the bathroom crying. But through that journey, we became pregnant with Oliver. We actually found out on Christmas Day. I guess we weren't 100% expecting it. I wasn't. I think for a lot of people, they come to the point and they're like, when is the right time to try again? And I think one thing a lot of people have shared is like, you have to be mentally in a good space to be able to think about having to go through the process of being pregnant again, because it is, it can be traumatic because it does bubble up a lot of feelings that come to the surface. And at the same rate, you just want so desperately to be a mom to a child here on earth. And I think one of the hardest things is mothering your child from heaven, because you don't have them with you every day. I'm sorry, I'm very emotional about this right now.
No, people need to hear these stories. And so I really appreciate that you're willing to talk about it and be real and raw about it, because nobody talks about these stories. And so, we walk through these stages of grief, and so some people, like you and I had talked earlier about this, did you get a lot of people who kind of assumed that, Oliver was your rainbow? And were there many people who did that, or not really?
I think there's a lot of people that just think that pregnancy after loss it's a rainbow baby, and there's some people that really hold on to that term and they love it, and that's wonderful for them. But I think for me, I didn't like that term, because for me, that was making the assumption that my daughter and Olivia really was a storm. And when I think about a storm, I think about not happy times. And yes, there was a lot of tears and a lot of sadness that could have filled, 4 oceans at this rate. But, she was pure and was that bit of joy that we had every moment leading up to finding out that she didn't have a heartbeat. There was nothing that was sad or storm related. So for me, when I think about him being a rainbow, and yes, he is, pregnancy after a loss, I think of him more as kind of my sunshine, because there were some clouds that kind of came around after that as I was, grief it's a challenging thing to process. But for me, I don't really love that term. And I think there are a lot of assumptions made in loss. by people who don't know what to say, or they don't know how to react. And so it's not out of ill will that they might say that or use that term. But I think it's just not everyone feels a close tightness or close relationship to the term rainbow baby.
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about. So if you could share, maybe there's a woman out there right now who has had a loss and she's currently pregnant and she's about to deliver in the next few weeks or months, what would be your advice to her about birthing a baby that, you know, is going to be earthbound, and incorporating that with your angel baby?
I think what's most important is to think about, there will be fear. There certainly will be, because you can't separate your previous experience of loss to what happened. And for us, it was leading up to the moment of delivery. So there was a lot of trauma, even, you know, going back into that hospital room, being in that same space. And so what I think is really important is just to take time for yourself. It's an emotional journey. It's okay to have all of those feelings. For me, I was very concerned that when he was born, that everyone would forget about Olivia. And that was a very real, raw feeling for me. And I still have that fear some days, because everyone is very focused on current state. And you, I think as a parent of loss, you're always wanting to make sure that your child's name is said, that the people are always remembering them because you are their living legacy. And then the other thing I would say is that, you know, try to, whatever you need to do to help reduce your anxiety or to reduce your worry, do it. You know, ask for those things. If there's certain things that you need during your delivery, or if there's certain things you need from your family afterwards that you know will help you, ask for it. You know, I purchased the Owlet Smart Sock because I knew that I would have a anxiety attack if I didn't know when I was sleeping that his heart was still beating. And so that, for me, that works for me, but you know, that might not work for you or anyone else. But just think about those things if you can. And then one of the things that I know that I talked about with my midwife afterwards was, are there ways that you can incorporate your child into your delivery? So, you know, if you have an urn and you want to bring your child to your delivery, that might be comforting for you. You know, I brought Olivia's stuffed animal with me to my delivery and had that in the room. So think about that. And then one of the things that I really was happy that I did when he was born is we had taken some newborn pictures, and I wanted, Olivia never had newborn pictures. So, and that was a trigger for me. I think that's the other thing. There can be things that are triggers for you that you don't even know after your child is born, that you encounter, and you're like, oh my goodness, my heart is just, you know, so sad because of this. And that's okay. But what we did is we tried to incorporate Olivia into just a few of the pictures with Oliver during the newborn photo shoot, because that was really important and special to us as well. So, you know, just be mindful of how you're feeling. Ask for what you need to make you feel comfortable to help reduce your stress and anxiety, because there is always going to be a fear that comes with that delivery until you have that child in your arms. And even then, for me and for the last couple weeks, there's always been a fear that something could potentially go wrong with him, because I've already been through that experience as well. So be kind and gentle to yourself, because it's a journey, and it's not always easy.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, Maggie. We really appreciate it. We hope it helps other people out there, you know?
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me share my story as I'm sitting on my living room floor in front of my couch.
That's all right. That's how we do things in mom land these days. So thank you so much. And This has been your Tuesday Talks. We'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
Thank you.